Okay, we'll go ahead and call this meeting of the Lammersville Unified School District's Facilities Use Committee to order at 6:30 on June 21st. Roll call, please.
Shane Nielsen.
Here.
David Tombo.
Here.
Marlena Kaiser. Here. Jimmy LeGrand.
Here.
Erica Smith-Payne.
Absent.
Corey Strock.
Absent. Okay, so we'll start with the minutes from the last meeting. Any changes or corrections? Anyone got any questions about that one? Nope.
Good.
Anyone out there? Nope. Okay, moving right along, facilities usage reports.
I am pleased to
find
say
this
that we were
fun.
able to run these reports by tiers now. So that was one of the,
Which I like.
yes, that was one of the things we were trying to get them to do, since we require our staff to also enter their events. So what was happening is they were intermingling, is that the right word to use? With the other tiers, so it was difficult to say how often certain facilities were used. And as you can see here, the multi-purpose room is the largest use, obviously by our tiers, as well as the youth groups, Tier 2A, and Tier 2B groups. Tier 3 groups were using the classrooms a lot more outside the hours of school.
So I just need to get some clarification on this, because it's my understanding we were not actually leasing out the softball field. And this says softball field, so, and it's a substantial number of hours. I can't believe that for public use, there's almost 2,000 hours for the softball field. Are we sure this isn't, I'm looking at the Tier 2A youth groups, is that accurate? Or are we calling softball fields some of the fields at the elementary schools?
Yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
So we want to change that makes it just the, maybe, softball field is the softball field at the high school, soccer field is the soccer field at the high school, and the fields at the schools are just elementary fields, something
And
real
we
simple so
can
we can get that.
We will have to get the site maps so we can actually label them,
Right.
and we can upload. That's
Right,
another new
because some
feature
of them are
they
split,
added.
like Wickland's got an A side and a B side, or a half and half side, that kind of stuff. But it's just, if we're gonna have soccer field and softball field, it should be specific to those fields.
Okay, we can make that adjustment.
Okay, just be that way, because that way we can clarify what's getting used and what's not getting
Mm-hmm.
used. But my guess is, when you say soccer field and softball field, you mean all of the parks, and it's a combined number there. So I'm really just, the point of this report is two things, folks. It's to provide the community with an understanding of how much our fields are being used by the community, but not for naught. It's also supposed to be a tool that we can provide to the community services district and say, hey, look, you need to do more to provide services for this community. You just voted not to raise taxes because, for whatever reason, and we've got fields and facilities that you guys don't have enough of because we're the only game in town. And when the CSD doesn't get these numbers, I want to be able to provide them these numbers and the community when they say things like, you don't let us use your facilities, the answer's here in black and white. So
We'll do that.
I would appreciate that. And this is just a lot of use.
It is a lot of use.
But I'm glad that we're able to differentiate it too, because it's disingenuous to say we're leasing the multipurpose room for 6,000 hours when it's
Exactly.
school
And that was what we were
foundations,
concerned about.
the school-sponsored basketball and softball teams.
So it looks like it's almost 2,500 for that group, Tier 2A, 2,500 hours.
For the multipurpose room alone, yeah. And like I say, and then if you combine the soccer and softball fields, you're at about the same numbers too, so.
Yes.
And that's just for Tier 2A, that's not all the other tiers, so. Yeah, if we
so
could
this-
try and tweak that and get with those guys to
We could do that.
see if we can get that cleaned up a little bit, that'll be really helpful. Any questions on the report? Nope. Folks? Nope, okay. Denied applications, did we have any
We did not have any at this point.
at this point, because we just opened it up, so
Yes.
that's gonna be a July meeting fun. Unapproved use notifications, none?
Had none,
Change of tier status,
none.
software update, you
And
kinda
we
get
kind of
that.
talked about that, and we have the online, we thought it was working, and when someone tried to pay, it wasn't working, so Rita worked it out with the company. It's working.
So now,
We
all of
can
the
accept
reservations can be done
credit.
online, and all of the payments can be done online.
Yes, they
Which
can.
would be our preference, I'm sure your guys' preference too, to,
Looking
be able to do
forward
it
to that.
whenever you're available as opposed to whenever we're available. So hopefully that's taken care of real soon, and keep us posted at the next meeting about the payment part of it. And CDC at Wickland follow-up report.
That's Jimmy. They decided they didn't need to use the or they didn't want to put a facility in that was low on their priority. Remember, they wanted to put a.
Right, they wanted to put another,
Right, and then they worked
basically another
out.
portable out there, right?
Worked it out with the restroom.
Okay,
I'm not gonna tell you how we worked it out. I'll tell you off camera, but we worked out with the
Lawn
restroom.
access.
it's worked out.
Yeah, it's worked
Good.
out.
They'll
and
have a place to go
And the
potty.
storage shed they wanted was a low priority, so that kind of flew by the wayside.
Okay,
So
all right.
So it worked out.
Okay, so now, public comment on anything that's not on the agenda, because we will allow you to comment on anything that's actually on the agenda. And we will be going over, the priority applications that we've gotten so far. So I think that's a lot of what folks are here for. But again, if you want to talk about anything else, this is your opportunity. And again, it's not as formal, but if you could come up at least, because. I did?
Oh, reimbursement to
Oh,
organizations.
reimbursements to organizations, I apologize.
I think we had one credit to provide. I saw your email. Who was that to? It just was very recent, so we didn't have.
Oh, there was the church that uses Altamont. There were a couple weekends the custodian didn't show up. It was about a $330 credit we had to give them back.
Custodians didn't show up? Our custodians didn't
Our
show up?
custodian not show up.
Okay.
Did they say why?
That's a personnel issue we don't want to talk about, but we're working on it, I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
yeah. It was in April and May. It
Okay.
hasn't been since.
Hasn't been in, okay, good,
Yeah.
good. Because that's, the last thing we want is for people not to be able to use facilities
No,
because
that's-
staff doesn't show.
Exactly
The issue's resolved.
Excellent.
I'm sorry, it's not Altamont. It was Bethany.
Okay,
Sorry,
All right.
just so you know.
okay, thank you. I didn't realize that. I kind of lost track there. Trying to get everybody home. So again, public comments, anything not on the agenda? And this is more free-flowing than a formal board meeting, so you don't have to worry about, 3 minutes and all the rest of that. Okay.
Oh, he's raising his hand.
Oh, come on up. We are being recorded, so feel free.
I just thought of something real quick.
And it'll just have your back. We just record the full.
There you go.
I don't think it got you. I can see
It
your
just
shoulder.
doesn't like explode the cameras or something.
bet.
Good evening. Nice to see you all again. The question I had, we talked about, mentioned about paying online, which is fantastic, which is what triggered in my mind the reimbursement, was the $200 deposit. I was sorry to see that we couldn't carry our deposit over year to year. I'm not sure if it's some accounting thing or maybe it's a legal issue, but when I asked, I said, we're going to be coming back. There's no
I can
reason
refer
just
your
keep
question
the
to our
money.
CBO.
I'm going to look into that because I never
I don't know,
really thought
when
about it.
when I mentioned it through the email, they said this was a board decision, part
does make
of the
sense.
use, so you have to return it at the end of the year.
It could be
so
an
maybe you
accounting
can
thing
fix
where we're
that.
not able to roll money over and that we have to do it this way. I'm not sure, but
If you
again,
can, please.
this is the expert.
Let us
She'll
do
find
it.
out.
I know we have done it for the larger group, CDC. I think we rolled a deposit.
Okay, so
or whatever.
if
I'll
you
look
could
into
bring-
One of those things. I'm going to get the check and send it right back to you, so what's the
It
point?
is-
Put that
You know,
on our
waste
next
of time.
agenda just to answer the question for folks. That'd be great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good question.
Okay, scoreboard advertising at the high school.
We had a request to Tracy Ford wanted to put an advertisement actually on
The scoreboard.
the school
It should
board.
have space for it, doesn't it?
Did we
Or the
skip
ability-
the finance report,
Oh,
or
we
was I
did.
napping?
Oh, my gosh.
What finance report?
You're really trying to get us out of here.
Oh, I did. Look, I really want to go home. No, I'm not. No, my problem is I'm not wearing my glasses. I can barely see this thing. Getting old stinks. It's a
So
horrible,
yes, the
horrible
finance
experience.
report's on page
Thank you,
10.
Ms. Pombo.
Thank you. And I know that Jimmy Legrand and I were just trying to decide some of the projects that might be necessary at the school sites
Mm-hmm.
using some of these funds. So we'll sit and discuss that and then bring forward some items that we think that we could charge to these programs.
And just as a reminder for folks, we break it out like this so that everyone can see what we charge for the facilities and that it's going back to those facilities for the maintenance, repair of those facilities. It's not going to anything else. So
So just point of clarification on my part, the money is collected is broken out by a specific area on campus. Is that the will of the committee that money go directly back into the multipurpose room, for example?
that's
or-
what we'd like to see, yes. But it doesn't have to. I mean, if you've got multipurpose room and we were already going to redo something, we can utilize those funds. But we want to try to keep it site to site was the
No, I
plan.
agree, side by side. In previous lives, it just went a big pot. And we're
Yeah,
able to
for the
use it
school.
At the site, not necessarily at the multi or the
But
library,
it could, you know,
where it came from, so.
The idea is, like I say, for the multipurpose room, for example, if we're supposed to recover it every 2 years, and it looks like because of the usage we need to recover this year, then it's supposed to go towards that. It's
So
that
I
kind of
know, for
stuff.
planning purposes,
Yeah.
that's the
So-
will of the committee.
And,
Okay.
and you know, this, I'll be honest with you, this is new enough that we haven't actually applied the rule
No, we
all that
haven't.
often. So we get to kind of figure it out as we're going along.
We
So
just use the money for small capital facilities projects. It may be a set of bleachers, it may be benches on campus, it may be something else of that. Something's gonna permanently stay on the campus, not for consumable type things.
right, we don't want it to be consumables, but maintenance and repair first, and then
Yeah.
other
if
uses.
Things come up, I may bring it to the committee and use the money for.
And I think one idea was that we maintain the facilities that are being used so that we don't say, well, we can't afford to fix the softball field when people are paying to use the softball field and there's money going into a pot, it should be maintained was the idea.
And we use it a lot for enhancements, you know, adding batting cages or whatever, bleachers, like I said, stuff to enhance the facilities, not necessarily to repair. Obviously, the repair was broken, but to make it better.
Yeah, and you know, realistically speaking, it's a function of if we have to pay for repairs before we were supposed to, that's what the funds are for. Otherwise, then to try and enhance and highlight and provide better usage for everybody. That's kind of the goal, I believe. So, and again, hasn't really been something we've been able to address yet because it's a
Well, we'll
brand
have
new
some
thing.
big ticket items down the road with the track and the turf, you know, could be a 10 to 12 year, maybe 15-year window. That's a big ticket item that maybe we should start banking some of this money for down the
Well,
road.
we're already setting aside money for the track too, but that's on I think a 10-year schedule. And the idea for that is, for example, for the football field, if we have to replace in less than 10 years, that this will have offset some
good.
of that.
Excellent.
That's kind of the idea. But again, I would say this, if there's an expenditure that makes sense, bring it to the committee, or it might be something because it's an expenditure that the whole board has to approve. But as long as it's not like, okay, we're using this to buy textbooks, we're using this to buy computers, you know what I mean? That's what we told the public it wasn't going to be used for. It's going to be used to maintain and repair and augment the facilities. That's the goal.
Yeah. Thank you.
Did I miss anything else?
No, I think you're good.
Really, I can't read a
Maybe I'll
darn
read them
thing
out.
on this.
How's
You
that?
know what? Why don't,
I'll
yes,
read- okay.
you go.
So now we're on the staff hours report, and next month we'll bring forward a comparison.
Skip that too.
But I know that Rita has already made a comment, because I says, well, are you spending about, you know, because I knew Lori was spending an average of 4 hours a day, and Rita's not finding that she's spending that amount of time, but we also made an effort to open civic permits to allow people to enter their permits now, rather than being collected by hand, reviewing them and entering them. So we're trying to make a better use of the civic permits. So she's finding she's not spending that same amount of time.
In addition to that, on the report, on the agenda for next month, will you put on just a discussion for the public? I'd really love to hear from you folks at our meeting next month, how you feel the civic permit software worked for you, what it didn't work, because we do have some input into how it's made and how it's maintained and the programming of it. So if there are things, I mean, again, on our side of it, it may work fantastic, and on your side, it may be worthless. And I'd rather hear from the folks who are using it on a regular basis, the goods and the bads. And don't be afraid to make suggestions about improvements too, because that's part of our contract with them is we can suggest improvements and changes. So if you'll add that to the next agenda, I'd love to hear from folks how it went, because this is the first real big rollout of it. So we're going down to 8 now, right?
We are on, no. Information and discussion.
Oh, where I thought we were.
Yes, A,
Scoreboard.
advertising on stadium scoreboard on Mountain House High School. So we have the banners and the approval to do the banners, but we didn't have the, let's see, you guys have that in your packet. the board
Principal
policies.
Faubert was approached by, I believe, Tracy Ford, and asked about putting something permanent on the scoreboard. I didn't know what the policy is, generally a board decision, if we have any language, or if we've had that happen in the past. Some districts are okay with it, some districts frown on it, depends where you work.
We should encourage it as much as we can. That's my perspective. There's no reason not to. It's a scoreboard.
You're talking about permanent signage
That's what I
affixed
was saying, we don't have.
to the
It'd
scoreboard.
be permanently attached to the scoreboard, you know.
Because when I,
It'd be a panel permanently attached to the scoreboard.
because when I saw this, I was assuming what it was the screen part of the scoreboard would have different things flashing
See what he's thinking.
on that panel of the scoreboard during games and whatnot for advertisers. But,
I've never actually seen them do that at the high school field, because it's usually not that high tech. So, but I have seen,
I'm not sure, I know I've seen them have a flag playing on a loop and stuff at Mountain House High School. I'm not sure what the what the capabilities are of it, but,
Personal perspective, we should explore anything that's reasonable and not,
Okay, so we can
Without
reach out and
tact.
figure it out.
yeah.
and I'm not sure if, and this is something the whole board would have to decide, but I'm not sure what the funding looks like, but I'd love to see a panel that faces the street on the backside of the scoreboard available for not only potential advertising, but also notifications, what's going on at the school and those.
And the idea behind
those
that
sorts
is
of
you can,
things.
you can use the funding that we get from the advertising that goes around the center screen panel that would face outward. Because not for naught, the screen that's on Central Parkway doesn't get a lot of drive-by traffic. All the drive-by traffic is on Mustang, so all the announcements could be on a screen that faces outward. And if we can get the funds to put a screen on the back side of that from advertisers who go along the side of that, which again, I'm gonna guess they wanna be on one side or the other or both. I just say, come to us with options, let's figure it out, let's get something to the whole board because we
I just
should.
didn't know the answer, so I didn't want to say yea or nay, so.
And that may be something that we have to work with the CSD on because of the signage
That's true.
rules.
I don't mind going to a meeting. An idea too, let's look at, much like we're looking at advertising or the usage fees and stuff to go to certain things. Just one sec, that scoreboard isn't gonna last forever. So let's look at lifetime replacement costs and if we could utilize some of those funds to help replace that when the time is gonna come. Okay, because I don't know how long those things last, 10, 20 years, I don't know.
It should be at least 10, yeah.
I would think so, but again, if we're gonna have to replace it in 10
Sure,
years,
things could break
the
out all the time.
advertising to help
Yeah.
pay for it,
Yep, yep.
I think would be something we'd want to encourage. So, yes, sir.
Quick suggestion, just like you're saying that the signage outside behind the main scoreboard, you can store something for the basketball court also.
Oh, and yes, if someone wanted to get advertising on the basketball scoreboard too, I don't see why we wouldn't do that. To be honest with you, when we got the Wickland one, I went to everyone I could to try to find someone who would pay for the advertising to buy the scoreboard. So I don't see a reason not to do it. You know, like I say, as long as it's tasteful, you know, I don't want a Marlboro ad. You know.
The last scoreboards I put in were the Rotary Club made a sizable donation, and it said Rotary Field on top of it, something like that.
Exactly,
So,
those kinds of things that we can get and encourage, absolutely, I would encourage. And
We approached Marlboro, they weren't interested.
I wouldn't, I highly disagree with you. I guess, I'll bet you if you approach Marlboro, they'd be hugely interested right now, or Diet Coke for that matter.
I'm not sure if the board would be in
Yeah,
in favor of such an idea.
I don't think so either. But yeah, we should, and again, that would be something that while we can get a lot of the groundwork done, it was going to require full board approval for that. So,
That makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next line item,
let's read this.
summer use and priority applications for facility rental.
And that's these things, right?
Yes, so we received quite a few requests, because this is the first time that we've allowed inside facility requests to be put in now. There are quite a few that are overlapping. In the past, we've recommended the organizations reaching out to Jimmy to try to work out a schedule to see if they can kind of negotiate, I guess, locations. We have 2 organizations that want to use the Bethany multipurpose room. There's no overlapping on requests for Altamont.
Okay, so
Cuesta-
let's
Yes.
clear this out. The first things first, until we get to November, there's no overlapping really in Altamont, right? No, there is. Taekwondo
see.
and Mountain House Wolverines.
Oh, you're right, because there are
So-
several months.
So
they
let's
to-
start off, I think the best way to do this is to start off one at a time, because we've got the Taekwondo folks and Mountain House Basketball. Mountain House Basketball for the Wolverines, because I know there's at least 2 or 3 organizations that do basketball. For the Mountain House Wolverines, they're utilizing 2 facilities, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't get a chance to look at all 3 calendars.
There'll be more than 2.
Mountain House Wolverines, nope, they're also on Cuesta. Not Wickland. They're
Go
at
through
Bethany.
those fast.
Well, all you gotta do is look at August and
Yeah.
you'll see if it's there. And, hold on, stadium, small gym. Uh-oh. So, just a quick note, we don't have the small gym at the high school past July. It's all stadium from here. So here's what we're going to suggest. There's clearly a lot of overlap, and Mountain Hills Wolverines have a substantial presence in the community with regards to the facilities that they need. Last year, we had a situation where, in a very similar circumstance, the Wolverines, the Kings, and the Royal Kings, and who was the third one?
Mountain House Youth Basketball, Wolverines.
Oh, it was youth basketball, because there's Wolverines, Mountain House Youth Basketball, and the Royal Kings all wanting facilities. And what we asked was that those organizations reach out as groups to contact Jimmy to try to work out a meeting and sit down and go over a schedule, okay? We want to do the best we can to accommodate everybody as much as possible. But again, going back to, we do have other gyms, we do have other resources. I get that you would like to use the ones that are there, but we do have to try to spread things out. And what we can't allow to happen, we've already, if I'm not mistaken, we've already moved Taekwondo once, correct? You were originally at Cuesta, right? Oh, Bethany, right? And then you had to move to a classroom at Bethany, and then we've moved you to Altamont, back in the multipurpose room now, right? So you have a little more space.
I tried to do Bethany, but that's a complaint about the system. It let me book all the way through with Bethany, and then when I went to submit it, it came back and said, sorry, the facility's not available. It's like, well, why did you let me get through that whole process?
It shouldn't have done that.
Back to Altamont, did the exact same thing, and that thing went.
Well, and that could be a function of
Yeah,
the administrator who blocked out the time.
maybe.
So we'll have to take a look at that. First and foremost, as we always talk about, the school's needs are going to be the priority. But, as this group has said many times, and the full board has said many times, we all have to try to play ball here, to use a sports metaphor, because we're talking basketball. And we can't tie up the school facilities full-time just because we're not sure what our schedule is. This body will not allow that to happen. And I will be reaching out to the superintendent to make sure that is not what's happening, so that the community has an ability to use the facilities as they best can. But let's remember, folks, when Mountain House Youth Basketball and the Wolverines and the Royal Kings are playing basketball, our 5th, 6th, and 7th and 8th graders are all playing basketball as well. And that will be the priority for those facilities, period. Okay? And I would think everybody would understand that, but it's a fairly short season, and it doesn't completely.
Starts in January, and usually when the kids.
No, I'm talking the elementary school.
Yeah, the elementary schools start in basketball starts in January.
Right.
Right, and then it ends.
But volleyball starts in
Volleyball
October,
I know it starts
September.
in October and then end of, no, actually September.
Yeah, September, and
I see.
it usually ends before Thanksgiving. Yeah,
One played there.
so,
But usually our practices end for those at about 6:30.
exactly. There's a way to work this out, because usually practices start right after school.
Or the kids, we can fit them in, that's not a big
And so what I'd like to do is for the organizations that are booking the multipurpose facilities in September and October, which is Taekwondo, Wolverines, hold on, Mountain Health Youth Basketball, but I didn't see the Royal Kings in here. They didn't ask for, they usually go to Cuesta, don't they? There's youth basketball, but I didn't see Royal Kings. Either way, what I'd like to do is have those organizations reach out to Jimmy to set an appointment for everyone to kind of come together and try to figure this out. Best alternative would be you guys sit down and talk about what your needs really are. We make sure the facilities are provided for you. The schedules are available so you have what they are, and try to work some stuff out. That we make sure the volleyball and the basketball schedules for the schools are done. At least volleyball is, because that's through December, and it looks like it is. For that conversation, I do want to try to give my perspective. It's not the entire group's decision. I would like to give some deference to Taekwondo to not have to move again. They've moved twice. It doesn't mean it's a no again, or a yes again, but we do need to try to respect. I get that the organizations are growing. I get that we do have more needs, but, and I'm going to point this out, for the basketball groups, Lammersville is wide open.
Wide open.
And I get nobody really wants to go that far.
Try Altamont, because in Altamont we can fit 2 teams at a time.
Yeah,
Because
it's a nice gym. It is. So And like I say, so we just really need to try to look at what we can do to stretch
I
the facilities out.
applied for June and July for, the basketball because we have 14 teams practicing outside in the sun right now. We're just trying to get them
Well,
in.
July, we're going through, but we can't, no, July's already open, isn't it?
July's open.
Yes, we applied and they're just, the permits are just sitting there.
Yeah, because I think we're waiting for this meeting, because some of them did overlap, but I
Do we
bet,
have the July schedules?
The issue with July is gonna be coverage in the evening, so I'm working with the sites to see if we make, because people get off at 3:00, 3:30. And these events are
so they would
5:30,
cost- yeah, they would
6
cost
o'clock.
more than-
Usually we do pay for the custodian, we always have paid.
Yeah, but
It's not that you won't pay for the custodian, it's if we have a staff member available that wants to work. That's the issue. It's our issue.
I would hate to see you reserve a facility, think you're gonna get a facility, and then we find out we don't have staff willing to cover it.
And then you show up and no one's there, then you're not gonna be happy and it's not gonna make us look good, so we don't want that.
So when do you think you'll be able to figure out what's going on for July?
I think by the next week or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard to get a commitment from, because they want them every day, like Monday through Friday,
Right.
or Monday through Thursday, so.
And, you know, like I say, we can get what we get and we can give what we can give, but if we don't,
I mean, if we're overlapping with anything, we're okay with moving up, to 7 to 8:30.
it's not, I don't think it's an overlap for July. I don't think that's the issue.
It's about a custodian.
We need to have someone there to lock the doors and everyone leaves at 3:30. Yeah,
The custodians get off at 3
They
o'clock.
don't want to work in their summertime, it's their time off.
right.
Right.
I get it.
And that's really what that comes down to is we don't have someone who's willing to come back at 5 to open the doors for you. You know, I can't.
That's a problem.
We can't force overtime, nor would I want to, but we can't. So that's going to be what the bigger issue is. And if Jimmy can find, Jimmy's the head of that department, if he can find staff willing to do it, even if it's on a limited schedule, I'll have him let you know what days and opportunities we can. But I'm going to stress again, these are the kinds of conversations we need to be having with the Community Services District Board. Why aren't they trying to build a facility that you can use during the summer whose staff is paid to be there for you during the summer? And the community needs to reach out to them to talk to them about that. We have nothing. I do know for a fact that one of our visitors here tonight tried to get a temporary facility put up, and the CSD board voted it down. I have no earthly idea why. They need a facility. We need to build stuff. We need to get the developers to build stuff. And if the community and your organizations aren't in their ear, as much as you're in our ear to bite to get stuff available for you, if you're doing that, I'm promising you, eventually they'll start to listen, or they won't, and you'll start to talk to other people about getting people on the board who want to listen. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. We can't, it's not the same thing. They could hire someone whose entire job is to be 3 o'clock to 11 o'clock Monday through Friday at night to have those facilities ready for you, if they had the facilities. It's not the same thing for us, so it does create its own problems. So Jimmy, if you could follow up, that's Wolverines, right? If you could just follow up with them and kind of let them know when the July decisions are being made.
Okay.
I mean, you know, can you even reserve the park? Big one at the park? The nice lit basketball stadium, they don't,
We can't fit 14 teams in there.
no, but I mean, I don't even know if you can reserve that for the older kids. I mean, not for naught if you were gonna do one for the older kids.
There are people playing over there. And
Sure.
You really don't wanna, when it's just pickup games, then okay, let's go. But there's kids are playing tournaments each weekend. So they need to, run plays and
Mm-hmm. Oh,
all
I
that.
know.
And that becomes sort of.
No, but I don't mean, I didn't know if you could even reserve that court. I don't know.
Haven't tried that, but we do go and play.
Yeah, they go play, the main court at the park, yeah.
Yeah, it's
so-
available to reserve. Yeah, the basketball court's available to reserve, and you can call me.
That's Angel Lamb, by the way, at the Community Services District.
So,
Hardworking member of the CSD, trying to get your facilities and programs on board, people.
y'all need to help me out.
Yes, okay, so I don't know, I don't think we can resolve any of the issues tonight with regards to those facilities, but what I can do is say, we will schedule a much earlier meeting in July so that we can talk about the applications are due and the review is done by June 30th, right? So if we can schedule a meeting around the 6th, 7th, 8th of July, which is great because that's right after the 4th of July, so that we can come in, look at where things are, and then that provides us the opportunity to get down and say, okay, you guys couldn't reach agreements. It's our time to decide who gets what where, okay? So that, I think, would be my best suggestion to do for this, for now, for some of
we
those.
did start the window quite early than we've ever
Right.
provided, so we can try to resolve this now. rather than waiting till summer's over.
So we'll look at the calendars when we go to do that.
Okay.
But that's for Taekwondo, youth basketball,
Royal Canes.
Wolverines.
Royal Canes.
In the meantime, we do need to, I will be speaking with the superintendent with regards to calendaring issues by staff that I'm seeing, and we'll reach out
getting
and
better,
get
but
those
it still needs
addressed.
to be
No, it absolutely needs to be improved, so, because again, to point out to the public, we've set a rule in this body that if the staff doesn't put in their dates by the end of June through the end of December, you get priority over them. We can't leave you guys hanging high and dry. I will also tell you right now, if you are contacted by a school employee told that your facilities are no longer yours because you were bumped, you are to contact any member of this board to let us know. That's not acceptable, okay? If something comes up and it's an emergency, you should get advance notice, and we would apologize for that. But if it's just a Thursday night, like, oh, we forgot we had basketball practice, that is not an emergency. And you need to let us know, because we need to we're holding you accountable. I want our staff held accountable, okay? So I'm making sure, I don't know if that's been told to you guys in the past, and feel free to share with anyone else. That's the rule, okay? Because I know for a fact, I'm looking at 2 organizations who've been bumped themselves in the last 6 or 8 months. It's not acceptable, okay? We need to hold ourselves accountable, and we need to be available to you as best we can. But that doesn't mean we just skirt the rules too. We're a rulemaking body.
It's not acceptable, but that's not to say that it won't happen on occasion that something comes up that the school is going to have priority over outside organizations, but it should not be a routine happening.
Correct.
That you are bumped because they forgot they scheduled something or whatever.
Yeah. And that's, for the school plays, for those kinds of things that come up on a moment's notice, we should be not just coming up on a moment's notice. But I'll give you a great example. If the academic pentathlon team suddenly gets into the national finals and they weren't expecting it, that's something we need to look at, because that's a school organization. But again, that still shouldn't mean bumping. That should mean contact to try to figure out what can we do to work with you to work out something that's mutually advantageous. That's the way things should be. But yes, emergencies are going to come up. And again, if it would be a situation where you emailed me and it was a legitimate, I'm going to say, I apologize, I'm really sorry, this was a need and it was short notice, and that's going to be that.
Okay.
So, now that I've annoyed all of our staff. Yes, go ahead.
What about, when we have a facility rented out already good to go, and then you got the high school coaches decided to hold practice on that same day.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
So that's when that happened to us many a times last year.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. This is practice.
Yeah.
Talk about practice is not an emergency.
Easy, Iverson.
'Cause that's
I know,
pretty
right?
hard.
See, at least someone got it.
Got it.
At least someone got it. That is not an emergency.
Yeah, that was pretty difficult having, 250 kids.
And you have to move them all.
And, had to cancel everything.
I totally get it, and that's exactly what I'm talking
That's in
about.
a bad situation. And it also made the school district look bad.
And
It
that-
fell on the school district.
Not for naught, and as someone, it
We don't
makes
want
me
that
look bad,
happening either.
yes.
I mean, we always tell them, we always do the best we can, and
No, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That should not happen. So if that does happen, you've got my school board email, and at least through December, I'm still going to be here. So you can absolutely email me and say, hey, this occurred, and as the chair of this committee, I will follow up and get it figured out. And again, and if it's an apology on my behalf because, it was an emergency, I'll tell you that, and I'll apologize. And if it's something on the staff's behalf, your response will probably be something like, that won't happen again.
gotcha. We're good.
Because I can't talk about personnel issues, but,
We're good.
okay? Go ahead.
Okay.
Well,
Are we,
so does, right now, no one knows yeses or nos for July, right? So we'll be bringing that issue, I know we have a specific set of conversations to have back there, but that's for July, isn't it? And you as well, Ms. Lamb, is for July, correct?
Our reservations start July.
But do you have your approvals yet? No. Okay, so we will talk about the July ones in just a moment. So anyone else have issues with August through the end of the year right now, through the application process and where things are at? Any questions about the website, anything like that?
No, the website is good.
Okay,
that's
good.
good to hear.
Kind of, let you figure out the dates, and then it told you during Thanksgiving and all the feast dates.
Okay,
available to
good.
move them.
Good, okay.
For us, it's different because a lot of ours are for football.
Yeah,
For junior Mustangs, tackle football.
Mm-hmm.
Tackle football. So starting, because ours is like, we don't know if we're gonna get the 2 days at the high school.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of like, we don't know, but that's why we put in,
2 days, you mean the practice days during the week?
yeah, so.
Have
that's
you-
why-
have
but that's
we-
when school starts.
Right.
When school starts, then we put in for Tuesday, Wednesday at the high school. But nothing's been finalized yet. We're still awaiting word if that's gonna happen or not.
Starting when, though?
August 22nd.
Okay.
So when school starts.
We should have that schedule. You should know if you put in those applications, that's part of what we should talk about the first week of July. That should all be in there.
Okay.
Okay?
So
Really, the only thing that's,
Waiting for that one.
yes, but all of those dates should be in. The athletic director should have their practices scheduled. And this is a time where we need to start having the conversation, either at the district level or at this level, about that grass soccer field between the baseball stadiums and whether that would be available for use for whether it's soccer or football or any other sport. Because it is a full-size, well, at least on the plans, a full-size soccer field, which means a full-size football field can fit between the softball field and the baseball field. And whether we want to open that up, I don't know what the damage would be. I don't know what the,
In the past, I've painted 50-yard fields, a couple of them, for the different, because they usually have different age groups of teams, and we painted several smaller 50-yard or 40-yard fields for each team to practice on. That may be a possibility, something like that.
I know it
They
doesn't
don't
get you.
necessarily need a full
There's
field in that
a
area,
full
but we
grass
can break
field
it up.
between the baseball and softball fields that's never been opened
I
yet.
know the freshmen are gonna be practicing there this year.
And that's, we have to try, that's what I'm saying, we have to try to figure out how we're gonna get now what will be 3 teams, freshmen, junior varsity, and varsity teams, and where they can practice. But, I don't know if that's what they're gonna use for practice, but all that information should be done and in for our meeting in July. And again, part of what my reach out will be
I mean, I might be
is,
intrigued to using that grass field there instead of going to like Altamont or something. So I'd like to keep my 4 teams together.
sure,
So if
And that's what I'm saying, you have some smaller fields, you can keep all your teams in one site.
yeah, so if it's gonna be if it's gonna be lined up for the freshmen, I mean, that's something I'd be looking into. I'd definitely be interested.
well, and like I said, that's when we come down to, if we don't have availability, we'll be able to talk about alternatives. That's part of what the first meeting in July will be, is to plan whatever you guys can't work out with yourselves and with Jimmy for some of the other facilities. We'll sit down and try to look at alternative available space. That's the idea behind the July meeting. And then, yeah.
Question.
Yes, he had a question a long time ago. Yes.
So if I heard correctly, and forgive me if I'm misunderstanding here, but tonight you'll review any schedule conflicts between groups for July.
We're going to talk about July, yes.
And then August through December, is that going to be discussed here as well?
That'll be at the July meeting. Because the application period for August, and I know we still have some stuff we were going to talk about, but the application period for August through December is currently open on the website.
So and if I'm remembering incorrectly, please forgive me, I'm not trying to impose myself, but I thought I recall that during the last meeting that the period June 1 to June 15 would be when we would be allowed to make our applications for August 1st through December, and that if there were no scheduled conflicts, those permits would be automatically approved.
And the only things that come before us is if they're not approved. We don't approve the permits unless there's conflicts.
Right.
So,
So we took
conflicts?
from that point that we would learn at this meeting whether or not our permits for August through the end of the year.
for the outdoor facilities, and I don't know where that process is. Can
Outdoor
someone,
one's doing very well. We haven't had any conflicting with
but
the
have we
outdoor facilities.
notified people of their approved permits?
If there was no conflict and they were outdoor and they have been approved as, you were going in there approving lots of them.
I looked at it again today, and it just says, I did all the reservations at one time, and it's for, July, the end of July to November.
November 5th.
Yeah.
Is it an
And
outdoor
it says
facility?
pending.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
outdoor. And all of them say pending.
So we
So,
assume
yeah,
that
I
there's a
assume-
schedule
yeah.
conflict, that would be.
That's what it should mean.
Yeah, I'm looking at, I know Jimmy was going in there approving quite,
One
we
sec.
had like
I'll have to look out, I remember.
hundreds. Let's see here.
Yeah, the outdoor facilities.
Yeah, it's the girls softball league, and we reserved Bethany and Altamont, the Diamonds, for Bethany and Altamont.
And pardon me again for, dominating this discussed last time, the challenge for us is that we need to know by
Right.
July 20th.
Yes.
No, I
Yes.
reminded staff, you were on tonight's agenda, at least informally, to try to figure out where you guys were. Yes.
Okay,
So,
thank you very much.
I'm having trouble logging into this on my phone here. Facility.
And I didn't know if it was pending because there's something missing, or I wasn't sure.
Which site was it?
outdoor,
Outdoor, which site?
Altamont
Altamont
and Bethany.
It was,
I only have
Doesn't have-
multipurpose
these are all
fields.
indoors.
Yeah.
Monday through Saturday for what it's worth.
Actually, after this meeting, we can take a look at it. Well, I'll get it on a full-size computer, then make
Do you
sure
want
to
me to
work
go?
on
Well,
this.
I'll bring in my laptop and we will all
We'll take a look
sit
at
down,
that.
the four of us, and go over it. Okay? And get
The
it resolved.
outdoor ones.
Because it was
yes,
supposed
you're
to be
correct.
resolved.
Outdoor ones, June 1st through June 15th would be approved if there was no conflict. But it looks like these are all indoors that we're looking at here, so we will take a look at that when we're done here.
We're outdoor July 20th through November 5th.
We'll take a look at it.
Yes, we will take a look. Okay.
Yes.
Is there any way to know what multi-purpose rooms are available?
If you log into the civic permits and go to there's a calendar item, you can actually choose a school and choose a facility, and it will tell you, that's kind of what we're looking at here, a hard copy.
Here's what I can tell you.
I chose Altamont and it let me choose it, so I assumed it was available, but now there's a conflict.
But if you got in before they got in,
But either way, but is there a
that
way, I
window.
mean, we're flexible, except
Well,
for
and
Lamberton
here's what I can
School,
tell you.
We're flexible anyway.
for you guys, there's a conflict everywhere. The multipurpose rooms, that's why I'm trying to say,
We're into combat, so we're used to that.
that's not really what I want, because we don't need our basketball players getting taken out by the Taekwondo players, and that's just bad news.
What time is good for you, and then, we can always figure that out, that you can take that before.
Well, see, the problem is you both want 6 to 8.
Well,
At
let's see,
Altamont.
Wolverines has 6:30 to 8, and Taekwondo
Every
is
day?
6 to 8.
Monday through Thursday?
Now, I
Yeah.
do see here in your Taekwondo, I see some here from 6 to 7, and some of them from 6 to 8.
Yes.
The 6 to 7 is the little kids, the 3-year-olds, the 6-year-olds.
Because it's not much different than, it's not
Because
just
then
one
Wolverines
class.
could come in at 7, if they're out by 7, you can take,
Exactly.
so some of, did you see that?
Right, but the problem is that that's only Thursdays. And Monday, Tuesdays, and
Mondays.
Wednesdays, it's a, or I mean, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, excuse me, it's a full
Because I think it would
conflict.
be helpful when you reached out to Jimmy. He has this in front of them, and you guys can negotiate times, too.
And again, but I will say this, the only multipurpose room that does not have a conflict right now that I can see is
Lambersville.
Lambersville, okay? Every other multipurpose room has at least 2 events on it between July 1st and December. And that doesn't include the school events. So that is part of what I've asked Jimmy to try and, you guys need to reach out to Jimmy, okay? Mr. LeGrand over here, he doesn't like Mr. LeGrand, so we call him Jimmy.
That's my father. Thank you.
See, so, to try to figure that out, I'm just telling you right now, don't wait till July 1st, there are already conflicts. And what I've told Jimmy is, you guys need to reach out to him. Knowing now that there are conflicts, it's probably not a bad idea to get started even before July 1st, so that by the time we meet in July, hopefully a lot of this stuff can be resolved, and it's just a little bit of cleanup work at that point. Okay. Jimmy, could you give your email address?
What's up?
Could you give your district email address to them?
I can.
Could you just say it?
Say it out loud.
Oh, sorry. It's JLEGRANDE at sjcoe.net.
He is our Director of Maintenance Operations.
And also,
facilities.
Lori Robertson no longer works
Right.
in facility use, so do not reach
Yeah,
out to her.
So, no, Lori's,
She's moved over into technology.
yes. She's still with the
still here.
district, yes. She loves the district. She just wants to do more nerdy stuff, which is kind of cool.
Hey,
Hey, I love technology.
they all still fall under my departments.
That's right. She still works for her boss, so.
Still works for me.
So that'd be my suggestion there is just try to reach out and start giving some alternatives about what you can do. But I do really want to try to keep in mind, Jimmy, that, like I say, we've moved those folks a couple of times and try to give them a little bit of deference where we can, you know. Mr. Palumbo, do you have anything to add?
I do not.
Talk about dominating the conversation. No one does it like me, trust me.
I never noticed.
Next.
Okay, the next is just we wanted to include the Facility use handbook, actually, we probably didn't need to have proposed because the board approved it at the last board meeting. It is available on the website. We've left the old one and the new one, along with the amendments, until July 1. Then we'll remove the old handbook and all the amendments. Just wanted to make that available, make sure everyone has a chance to review it.
Please review it because you're signing, you've reviewed it and understand the rules when you sign up on the website for the facilities. There wasn't a whole lot of changes with some of the major stuff, but there were some little changes that we hope help folks. Like, for example, if you're doing a fundraiser, reasonable barbecues are okay now. You know what I mean? As
Summary of changes page.
Well, there's the amendments that are currently now on the website, amendments 1 through 7. So you can take, maybe I'll leave those on there.
I would leave them on there for at least a month.
Yes, so you can see what changes were.
Because rather than, that's how as we propose changes to the board, we do an addendum, an amendment, and then at once a year, update the whole book so that it's not, so those amendments would show you over the last 12 months what changes we've made to it. So it'll be a little more specific, and it's all the changes. I mean, even grammatical corrections are pretty much amendments, so.
And that's all. I
That's
just
all
wanted to
on
include
that one. And then the propane grills do's and don'ts. As part of this, Mr. Legrand, in his insight and vision, said there's no reason not to be reasonable about allowing barbecues on facilities, which I like. Because when we're doing fundraisers, who doesn't want a hamburger or a hot dog? I mean, come on.
I love barbecued hot dogs, what can I tell you?
And so
I'm
what
right
we
there.
figured is
Tri-tip, baby.
on page 35 of the handbook, and we'll probably just put it as a separate amendment or an addendum to the handbook, the propane grill do's and don'ts. And this was recommended by Keenan and Associates. So I
And
just
and
think
I
that
would
it's-
say that anytime we approve a permit that has a grill,
We
they
provide
get
this?
this. Yes,
Good idea.
because then we've got knowledge.
On your website, your do's and don'ts?
It will be. Well, actually, it's part of the packet that went out, and this packet is.
Did you get the email with the board agenda? Okay, then it's a part of the agenda packet for tonight. It is page number 35 of 35. But if you'd like,
I might plagiarize it.
I can get you a copy. I'm fairly sure we kind of plagiarized it anyway, so.
So call that an addendum.
This will be on a tab or button on the website so
Yes,
that
it will
people
be.
can.
That's what we're gonna do. And we're gonna have it both on our website, but also in the civic permits, as, remember the section we worked on, that little corner box?
Absolutely.
To have that available there too.
Quick one. So is that gonna go on at the high school too? Being able to, grill and stuff there?
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't see why not.
it's,
As long as you're
it's on the
following the do's
concrete.
and don'ts.
Can you have a truck come out and,
Like a food truck?
yeah?
We've had food
Yeah,
trucks.
I don't
Yeah,
see
because
why.
we've had them in the past.
We've had them in the
I'm
past.
just saying.
It's, I'll be honest with you, the only issue I could see with food trucks has nothing to do with us and everything to do with that other board, you know, the Community Services District Board. And whether they have the permit to be there or not from them and not us. We've had food trucks, we've had food vendors, we've had the wood-fired pizza guy come on to the facility at the high school.
I'm at the high school game, so.
Yeah, so I would just say for something like that, there's a different set of things you have to apply for. So when you're applying for your facility usage, I mean, you guys are there all day. So having a place to barbecue hot dogs and hamburgers to sell to folks makes perfect sense to me. And as long as we have the rules set up that you guys follow like they do at the high school stadium, I don't see why we couldn't. You know what I mean? So it makes sense. It would just be, it might have to be a separate application process or at least a separate set of documents that you have to do.
Maybe amendment to our,
Exactly. Just something you'd have to do separately to say, you know, you're going to have an open flame or, you know, whatever it might be.
so it's propane, right? No charcoal?
I think we're okay with charcoal.
And we were always okay with charcoal. It was propane.
Either one.
All right, we're
Just
good.
had to dispose of it properly.
And again, it just
That's in
not-
the handbook.
Yeah.
Good.
And just not on the field. But I don't think you'd take
no
the
trucks
charcoal
on
or
the
the
field.
propane on, or the trucks onto the field
No
either,
trucks
so.
on the field.
And actually, the food trucks was one of the things that kind of started this whole ball rolling, because at one point, there was no propane, was a proposed amendment, and we thought, well, what about food trucks and all the other things that use propane? And so we did some investigation, and that's how we came up with the do's and don'ts and that part of it.
Want to try and be as amenable as possible to these kinds of things, because again, all you're doing is raising funds for your own group, and not for not, if I'm going to go sit there and watch 4 hours worth of football, I'm going to want a hot dog, you know, so.
All right, now, obviously, we could probably discuss some of this approval for summer use and priority application facility rental, because it is the outdoor ones that we need to take a look at.
Well, so then, do we need to get a computer so we can do that action item?
And the facility, the organization is called on the application. I'm looking on my,
What's in, it's Mount House,
It's under, I put it, it's under my account.
is it, and you said it was for Altamont?
It's for Altamont Field and Bethany Field. And, but I put in there under the name of it, I put Mountain House Girls Softball.
Okay, so let me, I'm doing it by, it's kind of funny.
Look under submitted.
Yes, that's what I was doing, submitted. And I was gonna also look up, oh, darn phone.
you sure we don't want a laptop? I have a bag
Where is it?
in the truck.
Oh, here we go.
I have one right here. You're welcome.
Okay, we have Mount House Girls Softball.
Yep. But yes.
Yes, I see all the dates. And so now what I want to do is I want to take a look at the calendar. Take a look at that site, just to make sure there's no other Altamont. And you chose softball field?
Well,
Sorry?
I mean, I don't know that it's really a softball field, but the baseball, it's the two baseball diamonds, the one at Altamont and the one at Bethany.
Must be that, okay.
It's the one Sharon
Is
uses.
is the high school softball field available to rent? I didn't see it.
I don't believe we've,
It's on there. I think we kind of
either
had,
the baseball, the softball, or that soccer field in the middle yet. That was part of what we were discussing,
Oh,
to be at a future meeting.
I don't see any conflicts, at least through, let's see here, July, it's okay. August is okay. September is fine.
So just to clarify,
October, no
the
conflicts.
baseball doesn't use either of those fields? Hold on, they received notification that these were
All
open,
of
correct?
them.
So Mountain House Baseball got notice, and Mountain House Flag Football got notice. Now, Flag Football wouldn't use either of those facilities,
They wouldn't.
okay?
Oh, they're good.
Have both of those schools finalized the school use for August through?
Outdoor
Does
fields
it-
usually is not a problem
Yeah,
because it's
never a
after school
problem.
hours.
Never a problem with the outdoors. That's why we've allowed them to go ahead.
That's why we
Those were
gave a
the
shortened
easier
window and an
ones.
earlier window for the outdoor
I
facilities.
don't see a problem with it. And Andy Sue usually comes around in December.
He's gonna be,
I know the JV baseball was using the field at Bethany, but I'm not sure about whether or not the
Shouldn't be before
seasons
November, though.
overlap.
shouldn't be, but they should not even start practicing by November. They're gonna be doing, if anything, weight and strength training in November.
Actually, there are rules in place.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, they can't be, in our league especially. Our league's actually very adamant about it.
It's like the football players, they can't
Yeah.
practice.
Not just CIF, but the specific league we're in. That's why there's that, we had to create a separate basketball organization, because apparently all the schools in the league have their own AAU teams, so they can practice all year round.
See,
Which is,
The
Bethany,
reason that we designed the softball
looking
in
for
the fall
Bethany's.
we talked about that, to try to avoid the baseball
conflict.
conflict.
Because baseball's huge and they have all the fields and.
when you're not using, like, I'm looking at Bethany's now, and you're not using every day of the week.
No.
Well, not for Bethany.
It's Monday through Thursday, or Monday through Saturday.
Not at Bethany. You have in here Mount House Girls Softball. I'm just looking at the month of October for Bethany. Baseball field Monday, Thursday, and Saturday.
So one correction, once our games start the weekend after Labor Day, we did not need to reserve Monday
see.
through Friday. The critical period for us was the pregame part of our
So
season.
we have no conflicts on the website.
I'm not
And the
seeing any.
permit, the application process was June 1st through June 15th. I'm gonna
All the
move, we
sites
go
were
ahead and
notified.
approve the applications.
For the,
Had 10
for the
they've had a
Mount
week.
for this one.
Just this one. Yeah.
If I can ask one question, does Questa show the same availability? Because we,
No, also.
no, Questa baseball field. Does it show it? Because if it does, we will likely put another permit request in for additional space at Questa.
You can go ahead and look to that. We don't have it up. Go ahead and apply for it,
You can
absolutely.
apply for it. And we'll
That-
reach out to
And what I'll
Sue.
remind you is that process is closed now.
Yeah.
So it's, So it's wide open, first come, first serve, exactly right. So, and again, I don't know that it's used all that much, so,
We'll reach out to
you
Sue
folks
as
have
well
any
then.
issues approving that tonight based on what we see there?
Not for outdoor.
No?
So
Outdoor
that's for
facilities?
Altamont and Bethany's request that's submitted, and so of course, we don't need
Application
coverage for
approved.
that.
Okay, approved.
I can go tomorrow and approve it.
Okay, and what I will do is, our staff will double check everything and make sure there's no conflicts and let you guys know, but everything should be approved. There shouldn't be any issues as of right now. Okay? And if there are issues, they'll be resolved on our side of the table. Okay?
Thanks.
Thank you. Future agenda topics and meeting dates. So I want to make like I'm a dictator. I want to talking to my kids again. I want to suggest 2 July meetings,
Okay,
okay?
since we only have one board meeting that month.
And here's my reason for that suggestion. One is just to have the conflict resolution meeting. Okay? It could be short, it could be long, but I would hate to have us try to have an agenda that includes
Hopefully
other
you can-
things.
They reach
Exactly.
out and they can work it out
We
before
come in, we find out we're here for 20 minutes to find out a couple of tiny conflicts, and then we're done. And then we have the meeting towards the end of the July that talks about all the other stuff I just put onto a regular meeting agenda.
So our regular board meeting is July 20th, just so we have that date.
Is that a problem for you, Mr. Palmer?
I don't have a problem having 2 meetings. They will have to be either before the 8th or after the 20th.
Okay, that works.
I will
Or we
be,
could have the meeting in Hawaii if anyone would like to go.
I'm there.
I would love to go. The district, however, will not pay for our travel, so you're on your own for that.
So July 7th is a Thursday.
the 7th would work, the,
Don't want to do the 5th. That would be bad.
That's my birthday. I don't want to be here that day.
That's why. That was exactly why.
so the 6th or 7th are fine with me. I'm guessing the 4th is out.
Yes, it's out, holiday.
And we don't have, well, so then, we don't have a regular board meeting that night. So could we do it the 6th? That's a
6th is
Wednesday
when-
night.
Oh, July 6th, then
Yeah.
July 7th? Okay.
That's a Wednesday night. That's a regular board. It's on it's on my schedule for a board meeting, so I have nothing there. If we want to do it Thursday, I'm fine either way.
Is someone gonna buy me dinner? Cause that's my birthday.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right. yours is
okay, if the 5th
6th.
is her birthday and the 6th is your birthday, no.
We can do it on the 7th.
Let's do it on the
7th?
7th.
All right, as long as I
Only
get.
because I have a county
as long as I
meeting on the
Us?
6th.
Bad for you, how?
I have my Air Force on Thursday nights.
Okay, well,
What time?
6:30 in Modesto.
Hopefully we'll get it resolved. before then.
And remember, you have our email addresses as board members, so any, unresolved issues you can always let us know about. And I can only promise that, like I said earlier, we're gonna give you guys some deference because you have shown some flexibility in the past, and there needs to be at least some appreciation for that. So I do wanna try to do what we can for you guys as best we can, so. And that's what I'm hoping for, is like I say, you guys will talk, everyone will have a chance to chat and try to figure out some dates. I have not heard from Royal Kings, so if you reach out to them and they don't get back to you, but, for youth basketball, for Wolverines and for Taekwondo, if you guys could be talking about some options that might work for you all, and then just present that to Jimmy, and then we can figure out how to go from there, if that works out for you guys. That would be the easiest. We will do
6:30
6:30 is our standard time, if that's okay. July 7th, not on a birthday.
Thursday.
Thursday, July 7th.
Just trying to find-
And then we'll have to do our regular meeting. Which for me would be, based on our normal schedule, the 26th. Or do we want to have it before the board meeting? I don't like having two
You
meetings.
can, I won't be available before
Then
the
it's
board
the
meeting.
26th. Is that a problem for anyone?
26 looks good for me.
26th works for me.
Mr. Jimmy?
Sure.
All right. So then we'll schedule our normal agenda on the 26th, so everything we talked about putting on the agenda
For the
for the
26th,
26th alone.
which would be the civic permits, any,
Yeah, just feedback on the civic permits, the staff hours update, try to get those flexibilities put in there and those changes put in there. There was one other thing.
there was, let's see, civic permits. I was gonna look into the deposits.
Oh, yeah, the deposits, that's what it was. Yep, yep.
Okay. Maybe I'll have an answer
Like I say, and then the July 8th meeting, will just be if you've got conflicts. 7th?
Oh, it's the seventh?
We did it in 1 hour. So Thursday,
That actually-
July 7th would be to resolve.
Conflicts.
Conflicts.
So if you guys resolve all the conflicts and we work it out, then, it could be that we'll take that agenda off calendar if we have no conflicts. There's no reason to have a meeting if there's no conflicts.
Okay, maybe they
So
can
let's
work it out
hope we
before
don't
then.
have to see each other that week. We
And then
can all
July
work things out.
26th, which is a Tuesday, would be our regular facility use meeting. Tuesday.
Almost broke into song there. Did it under my breath.
Do it.
No way. I'm on the internet. I don't need to be a YouTube
Okay, and then
sensation.
you all have Jimmy's email address.
So like I say, if you guys could reach out to each other, it is on the website too. If you guys could just reach out to each other to try to work things out first and then talk to him, about some other options and flexibilities, that would be very helpful.
Can we get the ones that don't have conflict resolved? Can we just have those?
There aren't any.
All of them have?
Every single date that both of your organization asks for is a conflict between both of your organizations.
And then the other issue is
Every
obviously
single
trying
one.
to find coverage.
But again,
That's another.
There was 6 to 7 on days that they wanted that you might have been able to bump from yours from 7 to 9 instead of 6:30 to 8:30, whatever it was. But every single day that you both wanted facilities between July 1st, no, excuse me.
Ours is just,
No, because you didn't put in for all of the facilities.
ours is September through the end of whenever you let us go.
She also created this sheet in your packet. Sometimes a little bit easier to follow.
I'm sorry, starting September 1st. All of the facilities starting September 1st, there was a conflict at Bethany, at Cuesta, at Altamont. Wicklands are with themselves, which is good. So all 3 of those facilities, Bethany, Cuesta, and Altamont, have a conflict every single day from September 1st on. So that would be, what we can do is the system hopefully will automatically approve permits without conflicts before the July meeting. And then the discussions with Jimmy and the rest will just be for those dates that are conflicts. But like I say, you guys don't have to wait. The website should tell you there's a conflict now, right? Won't it?
Yeah, well, there's this also in your packet. There are a few, she has check marks. So of course, the only concern I have is over the summer, being able to, that we can find coverage. So for instance, you have, right, see the check marks?
Yes.
So Bethany's NPR for the Wolverines, she put a check because it's not conflicting anything on those days. But let's take a look at her sheet here. Because I like this. This is obviously what's in the system.
Right. And look,
Check with Bethany.
oh, I see. No, but see, no,
But September should have conflicts.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
September should have conflicts all
Yeah.
month long
Yeah,
because it conflicts with Bobcat volleyball.
it does. I'll have to ask her
So
about that.
that's why.
We're better off
this
using
doesn't-
this.
Exactly right. We're better off using, and what we might want to do, just as a courtesy then, is email these out
Oh, we can do that.
to the Wolverines, Taekwondo, Mountain House Youth Basketball.
Okay.
Okay? Right, they're the ones that are conflicting. And then the schools themselves will have to deal with that part. That'll be my job.
In,
I mean, eventually you want everybody to play nice in a sandbox,
Of
Yep.
course.
and not throw sand in anyone's eyes.
Nope.
But if they can't get along and come to agreements, then it's
July
gonna come
8th,
down to
7th.
the rosters, right?
It comes down to prioritizing by tier,
We do tier.
by,
Rosters.
but
1C3, right?
501c3 a date, but it also gives us some flexibility.
Yeah.
Okay, because again, for example, while the Taekwondo folks might not have been as C3 as long as the Wolverines have, I don't know. They have already been as accommodating as I think, we need to try to find a way to work with the fact that they started and have moved through 3 different times now. And
I get it.
we have rules that we're supposed to follow, but at the point it comes to July 7th, right? 7/7 is our meeting.
Thursday.
I have the 8 stuck in my head now, and I don't know why. This body will decide what the final resolution of those conflicts is. I will also say that, you could always appeal that to the full board if you choose to. That's because, again, it is the oversight for the entire district. But July 7th, we will sit down and hopefully be able to resolve everything, or we will resolve it for folks. Any other-
Alvina, in the future, if we're going to be discussing the calendar and conflicts and stuff, can we either have copies of that in our,
They're in there.
are they? Where are they?
They're on the cover. Should put them on the front to find them easily.
That's where I wasn't looking. I kept looking through the, all
Yeah,
right.
we just didn't get in our email packet, right? I
Right.
don't remember seeing this in the email, so
This is the first time we've ever done it this way.
Right.
Because they were always
And I
done
think it
by
helps.
hand.
I think it helps, so. Okay, so then 7/7 at 6:30 and 7/23, right?
7:26.
6th, 6:30. Look, it's been a long day.
It has been.
All right, does anyone else have anything else they want to address?
Thank you. Thank you for coming
Thank you all
out.
very much.
I appreciate it.
For coming out and for your patience, and we hopefully can get this all done before July 7th.
Thank
And
you.
we are adjourned at 7:36, which is not bad for us.